Hello, I'm John Hummel, Senior Technical Writer for Altinity. Have you ever sat back and said to yourself, you know what my life needs? It needs the visual presentation that Apache Superset provides, with the speed of ClickHouse. I will make it my life's work to integrate Superset with ClickHouse. If you ever thought that, or just had your organization decide you need to get the terabytes of information you have in ClickHouse into a visual format because it's easier for our human brains to handle than reams and reams of text, this guide is for you. The good news is that connecting Superset to ClickHouse is an easy process, but it's made easier when someone shows you the way. That's why we put together this video series demonstrating how to install Superset, how to connect it to ClickHouse, and how to make dashboard components so you can go from lines upon lines of text to being the commander in a science fiction epic with dashboards that tell you everything you need to know in a single glance. The following guide is shamelessly taken from the blog post Visualizing ClickHouse Data with Apache Superset, Part 1, Installation. So if you'd rather read that, you can pop on over to the Altinity Resources page and search for Superset. A link will be provided in the description below this video. A more condensed version is also available on the Altinity doc site at docs.altinity.com, and we will also provide a link. Since this video just deals with installing Superset, if you've already got that installed, you can skim this video. Just make sure you subscribed and click on the notification bell so you're informed when the next Altinity video is uploaded. As mentioned, this video will be about how to install Superset, and also how to add the drivers to connect to ClickHouse, especially Altinity.cloud. There's a few ways to do that. Install directly into your operating system with Python, download and run Superset through Docker containers, or use managed services. Direct installation. For those who prefer to directly install Superset into their operating system, the instructions are available on the Apache Superset installation page, link in the description field below. The instructions here will show how to do the same steps on an Ubuntu 20.04 operating system. Personally, I would just use my Mac, but really the most important thing is being able to run Python 3 and having the necessary prerequisites installed. Speaking of prerequisites, Superset requires several libraries to support encrypted communications and other necessary functions. So the first thing, if you're going to run this, you're going to need to install the following dependencies. So either you, or whomever has administrative access to the operating system, will need to install the following, as listed in the apt-get command on your screen. But just to list them out, we're talking about build-essential, libssl-dev, libffi-deb, Python 3-dev, Python 3-pip, libsessel2-dev, libldap, there we go, libldap2-dev. It's also a really good idea to install Python 3-venv. I highly recommend that you install Superset in a virtual environment. So don't forget to install it if you're going to use it. Don't forget it like I clearly did. Once that's done, the rest of the commands can be performed as a non-administrative user unless you're doing something special. If you've got all these prerequisites out of the way, then it's time to actually install Superset. Depending on which directory you're going to install it in, start off with setting up the virtual environment. Name it whatever you like, but I like to keep it really obvious and call it ClickHouse-SQL Alchemy. Python 3-m venv ClickHouse-SQL Alchemy. Activate it, and then upgrade pip. Now we're actually going to install Superset. Let me walk you through the steps. First, we're going to set the flask_app variable and set it to Superset. Export flask_app equals Superset. Then we install Superset with pip install apache-superset. Now do an upgrade of the database, Superset DB upgrade. The next step is to create the admin user and assign it a password. Superset fab create-admin. This is mostly an optional step, but we can load in the superset examples. Superset load underscore examples. And finally, initialize superset. Superset init. There's a lot to unpack, but if you've got the prerequisites out of the way, a lot of this is just waiting for it to finish. With all that done, we can install the SQL Alchemy drivers. These will allow Superset to communicate with the ClickHouse database. There's actually two drivers, ClickHouse-SQL Alchemy and SQL Alchemy-ClickHouse. We're sticking with the ClickHouse-SQL Alchemy, so use the following command. Pip install ClickHouse-SQL Alchemy. Double check the version numbers. If you're going to connect this to Altinity.cloud, and really, you should, because it lets someone else manage all of your ClickHouse clusters, encryptions, and security. Make sure that the ClickHouse driver is greater than 0.2.0 and ClickHouse-SQL Alchemy is 0.1.6. All right, that's it. It's installed. What? You actually want to run it? You're right. We went through all this effort, so we should run it. Use the following command to start Superset on port 8088. Superset run-p 8088 with threads reload debugger. Once that's done, launch a browser and point it at the IP address or the hostname of your Superset server on port 8088. The default username will be admin, and the password is whatever you set up earlier. Congrats! You got Superset running successfully. Superset through Docker. I am so glad we decided not to install Superset directly onto our operating system and instead decided to install Superset using Docker. So much easier. First, make sure you have Docker installed on your operating system. I could do this on Ubuntu or Windows, but I'll use my trusty Mac for this. I'll assume you're running the most current version of Docker on your system. The best part is Superset makes this really easy by having a GitHub repository with the docker-compose files. So first, let's download that from GitHub. Git clone, and then the URL, which will be github.com/apache/superset. Not so bad. The next step, cd into that Superset directory we just downloaded, and let's add in some variables. Create a directory called .docker, then create a file for local requirements to ensure that the ClickHouse driver and the ClickHouse SQL Alchemy driver are the right versions. You may not have heard me say this just a few minutes before, but these are going to be used to connect Superset to your ClickHouse database. touch.docker/requirements-local.txt, echo ClickHouse-driver greater than 0.2.0, piped into .docker/requirements-local.txt, and echo ClickHouse-SQL Alchemy greater than or equal to 0.1.6, piped into Docker requirements-local. Last phase. This will take a little bit, but use either docker-compose or docker compose to pull down all the images and start your superset container. Since we already specified the drivers, we don't have to worry about installing them later. So much better than if we had installed them on the local server. I can't even imagine trying to do that. Docker compose-f, docker-compose-non-dev.yaml up. This will take a little while, so just wait it out. The next time you want to run superset, run that same docker-compose command. Once everything is done downloading and initializing, you can access your superset server through a browser on port 8088, and the administrator username and password is admin. Well, that was pretty easy. If only there was an even easier way. Manage Service Superset. Can you imagine how long it would have taken us to install Superset through Docker? Just the idea of typing in, 4 lines of script into a terminal window makes me shudder. Instead, I'm going to use Preset Cloud and let them handle that for me. Just let them deal with Superset, and they already include support for connecting ClickHouse. Man, that sounds really easy. I guess that'll be it for this video. Really short, at least if you just forwarded to the Managed Services part. In another video, we'll cover how to configure your superset to connect to ClickHouse and how to do so securely. If that's something you want to check out, or want to keep up to date in all of our ClickHouse videos, make sure you subscribe and click the notify bell to be, notified. A copy of these instructions are available at docs.altinity.com, while the latest updates and webinars about using ClickHouse or the ClickHouse managed service altinity.cloud can be found at the Altinity resources page. I'm John Hummel, Senior Technical Writer for Altinity, and I'm glad I only exist in one timeline, not multiple ones. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy coding.